Hey Abel, Matthew here with freeprescriptionlenses.com, and with the help of my GoPro camera, I'm going to show you how I cut prescription lenses for your Polo 2109 color 5439. Let's open up your Ralph Lauren case. Pull out the Ralph Lauren Polo. Well, that was the box. This is the case. Of course, you got your cleaning cloth on the inside. Your Polo case. Let me put your cloth back in there. Let's put everything back in the box. And these are your Polo frames in the black red. That is sweet, sweet, with the red rider on the side. This is Polo 2109, color 5439, and the 56 eye size of my GoPro camera is good enough to show you that. These are the Ralph Lauren. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out the original demo lenses that come in here from Polo. I'm going to put your frame into my Italian Santinelli LE1000 patternless edger, and it's going to start by tracing the shape of your left lens, and then it's going to move over and trace the right lens here at freeprescriptionlenses.com, where everyone loves a bargain and no one is disappointed with quality. You buy the frame, you get free single vision lenses, at least 99% of the time. If you have extremely strong prescription, then you get them for my cost, but I'm not going to make any profit off your lenses. So I'm going to pull the shape up onto the computer. I'm going to type in your pupillary distance of 61. This is a polycarbonate lens being cut for a Zyl frame, which is an old school name for plastic. So your right lens is a -250, -1 at 179. The first thing I'm going to do is spin my axis wheel on my Marco 101 lensometer to 179. I'm going to put the power drum at -250. I put your lens onto the platform and I rotate it until your sphere power comes in clear and your optical center is dead center in my crosshairs. I spin the power drum to check for the astigmatism correction of 1 diopter. And then I'm going to put some dots on your lenses. Now, you might not see these, so I'm going to darken these for you so you can follow along all the way through. And this is the right lens. Let me do the same thing for the left. Your left is a -350 sphere. So you have no astigmatism. I'm just going to spin it to -350. Put your lens in, find the optical center. And then I'm just going to put a dot in the center of this one and label it left. So, in order to cut this, I need to put a block on here. This is what's going to hold it in place while it's cutting. So, I'm going to put my block here. I'm going to use a double-sided sticky pad from 3M. The black side is the sticky side. I'm going to put it on the block. I'm going to pull away the tape to make the back side sticky. And what I'm doing, you can't see here, but imagine the crosshairs of a scope. You have the vertical meridian and the horizontal. I line everything up so that red dot is dead center in front of your pupil. I'm going to do the same thing for the left lens. Put the block there. Put the little sticky pad on. Pull the tape away on that side. And now the block is on your left lens. So I'm going to put this in and hit start. And do one correction first. Now this whole process takes about 15 minutes. It's now 7:47 on Monday, April 14th, 77 degrees in my hometown of Durham, North Carolina, according to my Samsung Gear watch. But right now the LMU has come down, which are the calipers, and it's tracing the concave side of the lens first to make sure it's large enough to fit into your frame. The concave side is closest to your eyelashes. Now it's going to move over and trace the convex side of the lens away from your face, using the calipers to measure the edge thickness to know exactly where to put the bevel. The actual cutting wheel is down here on the left. It's that lighter color wheel. It's like a heavy grit sandpaper. That's what's going to grind away your polycarbonate. This wheel in the center with the channel in it is what's going to put the bevel onto the lens so it stays inside the bevel of the frame. I will have to close the door while it's cutting due to sound, but I want you to see your lens as it touches the cutting wheel. Now your lenses are the thinner, lighter weight, unbreakable polycarbonate. Your lenses are virtually unbreakable. They are bulletproof up to 22 caliber and has both UVA and UVB protection. We know what the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays can do to your skin, causing burn. Your eyes are 8 times more sensitive than your skin, so you now have permanent sunscreen for your eyes. This is a really nice frame by Polo. Really nice frame in the black and red. Now Abel is a student. I really enjoyed communicating with him. He's a really bright kid. He's really handsome. He's going to break a lot of hearts in his day because he is extremely smart. Well, at least at first I thought he was smart. He tells me that he wants to study architecture or quantum physics. But I tell the guy, don't study architecture or quantum physics. Learn how to mow grass for a living or dig ditches. There's always a need for ditch diggers. But does he listen to me? No. Kids today, they just don't listen to their elders. They want to go and they want to study calculus and science and physics. Fine, go and be a scientist, see if I care. But then who's going to mow my grass? Actually, Abel, I'm probably going to be working for you one day, so be nice to me, will you? So, most of your lenses cut away. You can see it's still completely flat at the edges, like a nickel. If I were to take this out, it could stand on its edge in just a moment, and that moment is now. It's going to scoot over and put the bevel onto the lens so it stays inside the bevel of the frame. This white substance is called Schwarf. It is optical sawdust. If you notice, there's water running in the background. If I put my hand up, you can see it splashing. Let me dry my hand off now. Polycarbonate cuts dry. Water will kick in just a moment to wash away some of this optical debris. And I keep picking off the lens. Of course, I'm just going to put more on there, so in just a moment. There we go. Now the water kicks in to wash away some of that debris. Kids today with their physics and their string theory and their black holes and their theory of interconnectivity. I don't need that. I just need cheese on my burger. Who's going to make me a burger? Actually, maybe go to med school, because when my heart explodes due to arteriosclerosis, I'm going to need someone to cure me. Or cure cancer. Architecture's fine. Why don't you cure cancer? You're smart enough. Actually, what I can do, if you study architecture, I need you to build me a factory on top of a mountain in Puerto Rico where I can see the sunrise and the sunset from the same location. I just change directions and I can see the ocean from all around me. Now, your lens is almost done to put into the frame, but you still have a little bit of rough edges here, so I want to smooth this out with my hand stone. This is completely flat. I can put my hand against it while it's running. And just using friction, I'm going to smooth out the edge of your lenses. I'm going to use my thumbnail to scrape away the Schwarf. And if you're a Mel Brooks fan, this is when you say, "May the Schwarf be with you." But it's not going to be with you, because I'm going to scrape it off and let it fall onto my counter. I do this so much, I have a V-shaped bevel worn into my thumbnail. My friends call it my occupational thumbnail. And once I get it all off your lens and it's all on the counter, I carefully, without missing any, I scrape it up into one pile, and then very carefully, I wipe it onto the floor. And this is where I like to joke and tell kids, stay in school. I went to school for years to learn how to make a mess. Don't think you can do it as easily as me. Stay in school. Learn how to be a messy like me. So in order to see if this fits, I'm going to tuck it in at the outside corner first, and then using my thumbs, I press down at the nose. It does not snap in just yet. I'm going to take 1/10 of a millimeter off of your lens. Using the golden rule, you can always cut more off. You can never add it back on. So I always start a little bit large, and then I work my way down. Once I have the size of the right lens just perfect, I'll flip over and cut the left lens. Now this is not going to go back onto the cutting wheel. It's just going to go to the bevel wheel and take 1/10 of a millimeter off. And because you're so good at math and science, I know you know what 1 millimeter looks like, but most Americans don't. This distance between my thumbnails is 1 millimeter. I'm taking 1/10 of that off around the circumference of your lens. So what's the formula for circumference? What's the formula for figuring out the radius? What's the formula for pi? And don't just stop at the answer 3.12. I want you to round it off to 20 digits to the right of the decimal system, and then get back to me on that, would you? Mr. Scientist. You'll be able to get lots of studying done while wearing these lenses. There's no reason for you not to make straight A's in science. And then when you take your glasses off, you'll be blinded by science. Okay. Just like before, I'm going to take your lens out of the chuck. Thank you, Chuck. I'm going to dry your lens off. I'm going to go back to my handstone real quick and do the safety bevel. Real fast, real fast. Real fast, I'm going to use my thumbnail to scrape off your swarf. And then, once it's on the counter, watch this technique behind the back. Woo! Look at that, kids. Look at that, kids. Stay in school. How many times I got to tell you? Okay, so in order to see if your lens fits, I tuck it in at the outside corner closest to me, and then using my thumbs, I press down, and it snaps in perfectly. So I'm going to set that there, and now I'm going to flip over and cut your left lens, flip that to left, and hit start. And just like before, it's going to move over and trace the shape of the lens, shape of your frame onto the lens, starting with the concave side, and then moving over to the convex side, which is quite vexing. If I could eliminate this, I would. It would save me about a minute on every job that I cut. But from the emails I get, people like watching this, so I'll stay here and let you guys watch. Trace, 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 trace. Then once it gets started, I'm going to continue to work on your right lens. So I'm going to pop this block off. It is no longer needed. I'm going to pull this sticker off. It is no longer needed. I'm going to dry all the moisture off, and I'm going to leave that red dot on there for now because I'm going to need to measure your pupillary distance. Now, your prescription reads minus 250, minus 1 at 179. Your left eye is a minus 350 sphere. The unit of measurement we have in the optical field is called a diopter. For liquids, they have gallons, ounces, pints, quarts. We use a diopter, spelled D-I-O-P-T-E-R. And everything is in 0.25 increments. So it starts at plano, meaning 0, 0.25, 0.50, 0.75, 1, and so on. You're at a minus 250. You're on the 10th rung of a ladder. You need 10 steps of correction. Now, you have one diopter of astigmatism. That is 4 steps. There is a stigma over the word astigmatism. It just means shape. It's like saying someone has straight hair, someone has curly hair. You need 10 steps of correction in your right eye. You need an additional 4, which brings a combined power of 14 steps of correction. This first box gets everything the correct size. Without your glasses on, everything is much larger than it appears in real life. So when you put your glasses on, it will actually minify. It will shrink objects down to the correct size. So this first box gets everything the correct size. The astigmatism takes away the fuzzy edges. So 6s and 8s don't look alike. The letters P and F won't look alike. It's essentially the fine-tune knob, and that's what that 179 is. If this straight line across the top of this card were 0 and 180, with 90 and 270 being the vertical meridian, 0 to 180 being the horizontal, if we were to turn this knob, you are extremely close to 180. So essentially, this would be 90. I'm going to turn it all the way to 179, which makes my PD stick almost parallel with the top of this card. So your left eye is a minus 350 sphere, which, by the way, you'll like this algebraically part. This is where I hate it, where I tell my teacher in high school I'll never use algebra at my job. Well, I have to algebraically add these together. If someone owed you $2.50 and then they borrowed another dollar, they would owe you $3.50. That is your combined power in your right eye, which is equal to the combined power in your left eye. But I want to quickly go ahead and measure this to make sure everything was cut correctly. The axis wheel is still at 179. I'm going to put the lens in, and I'm going to measure directly in front of your optical center. I'm getting minus 250. Hopefully you can see that with my GoPro camera. There's a 2, 2 1/4, 250, 275, 3. I'm going to spin the power wheel to check for your astigmatism correction, which is another diopter. So we're actually getting minus 350, halfway between 4. So that's 350 at the 179 meridian. So we're almost done here. So the lens has stopped. I'm going to bring it out. Your unbreakable bulletproof lens. So if you're around any gunfire and someone's aiming at your shoulder, quick duck and make sure they get you in the eye. Okay, so I'm going to smooth off those rough edges. I'm going to use my thumbnail to scrape away the swarf. Once I have it on the counter, and my wife just hates when I throw it on the floor. Sorry, honey. So in my wife's honor tonight, I'm going to collect it all together, and then I'm going to walk very far to the trash can. I'm going to wipe this off the table onto my hand and follow with me as I walk to the trash can. Okay, there we go. I'm only doing that for her. Who has time to walk that far? And what do I do with your glasses? They're over here. Okay, so let me see if these fit. I'm going to tuck it in at the outside corner closest to me. Whoa, then using my, oh, it's a live one. It's alive. It's still alive. Tucking it in, I'm going to press down to the corners and your lens snaps in perfectly. I'm going to take that block off, pull the double-sided adhesive sticker off. It is no longer needed. Now hopefully I can find a white background with the back of your card. So when I hold that up now, your pupillary distance is 61. I'm going to put my PD stick, which stands for pupillary distance. I'm going to put 0 on your right lens. When I measure at your left lens, I'm getting 61 millimeters. Hopefully my GoPro camera is good enough for you to see that. So that is measured perfectly. That way you know your glasses are made perfectly. I'm going to move over. I'm going to put your frame on the table, make sure it's in standard alignment. So when I push down, there is no wobble. I flip it over. Push down, there is no wobble. Make sure that each hinge or temple overlaps perfectly, and the same amount of tension on your springed hinges. And if you notice, none of your prescription is protruding outside of the frame. This is a very finished, clean look. This is a great frame selection with your prescription. So I'm going to use my optical grade acetone to wipe the red dots off of your frame. And of course, you live close enough, I'm going to give these to you, but everyone else, there's free shipping anywhere in the continental US. If anyone has any questions, just email me at freeprescriptionlenses@gmail.com, or just click the Contact Me button if you're at the website. Abel, with your scientific and your mind that is like a sponge, I hope you enjoyed learning how I made your glasses. Everyone else, I hope you enjoyed seeing how I bring that love and feeling back to glasses. Thank you.